Hey guys, welcome back to the 2011 Collective. My name is Clay, and today, boys, we have a special guest appearance on the channel. This is what I am dubbing the Renaissance man, Mr. Scott Kenney from KustomWorx LLC, and I am so happy to be able to share kind of his brand here for all of his great skills that he's got building these awesome guns. So Scott, thank you. Appreciate inviting us out to Oregon and to be able to do a shop tour and being able to allow me to build a gun and get some hands-on experience with that. But this is enough about me. This is all about this man right here. So Scott, give us a little bit of background, kind of where you grew up, and just a little 30-second elevator pitch, and then we'll press on to the gun stuff.
Yeah, I grew up in the country, a farm boy in Eastern Oregon, and I grew up around guns. My whole family hunted, from my mom's side of the family to my dad's side of the family. All my cousins, guns were a big deal in our family, the hunting and the fishing. It wasn't really until I got out of the Army that I got into the 1911. I absolutely loved the John Browning design. I had a Wilson Combat Gold Cup, and I shot that competitively for about 3 years, and I still have that gun. I love it.
That's awesome.
And going through life, I just never had the opportunity to really go through and do what I wanted to do, which was have a hobby with guns.
Right.
Not only because of my work, but where I lived. Yep. So as things kind of progressed and went along, I got into aviation, the aerospace industry, airline transport pilot. I was also a mechanic, and that really taught me the nuts and bolts of being tedious, right. Understanding what the fine elements of manufacturing or repairing anything were, because it's really all about the details.
Yes, it is.
As you know.
Yes, sir.
You found out.
Yes, and we will get into that here in a minute. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So when I decided to retire out of aviation, the guy from Three Sigma, Ken Frankel, him and I were talking one day. I was working on his airplane, and we were talking. He had come to find me in my back room where I wouldn't let anybody, and he found me in there, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm working on some guns." And
right.
He's like, "Oh, you like guns?" And I'm like, "Well, I love guns." And he didn't know that he actually had a passion for it too. So we got to talk, and the more we talked, we decided to sit down and build a gun.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely phenomenal. His wisdom in the machining part of it, the engineering design, along with Sean and the rest of the guys at Three Sigma, and we just sat down and basically designed a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have a piece of paper. It was just all in our heads. And one thing led to another, and I think it was from the time chips started leaving the machine, we had a gun built in 3 months.
Oh, wow. And you guys got a lot of proprietary things under the hood. One of the cool things on these KustomWorx guns, guys, is they've got a patent on the ejector
block assembly.
The ejector block assembly, where, if you guys have ever tried to change out an injector on a 1911 or 2011, they're probably one of the hardest parts to change.
Yeah, absolutely. People mess up their firearms all the time doing that.
Yeah. And it's a simple, when I was building my gun, set screw, easy to change out if you were to ever break one. Awesome, cool design. You also have a one-piece trigger bow as well in your guns.
The shoe and the bow are manufactured from one piece of 17-4 slug.
Right.
And it's just, put a dovetail in it, put it in the CNC, and turn the machine on, and it spits out an awesome trigger.
It does. You guys know I own a bunch of guns, and I will say my Vulcan has probably got one of the best trigger resets of any of my guns, and a lot of the red dirt triggers I have, they're very adjustable, and I have a very hard time getting as good of a quality trigger as I do on my Vulcan. It's one of the kind of the standout features on your build. So
it was I'd always. It's not that I hated the standard 1911 trigger, the way the bow goes in the shoe and all that, but I just felt like it could be better.
Sure.
And with today's modern machining techniques and practices, there's just not much we can't do.
And yes, it's and I've got a video. I went up actually and visited Ken up at Three Sigma up in outside of Kent, Washington.
Yep.
At his facility, and we'll bring a separate video for that one. But yeah, just the manufacturer. That's why I'm really big on the manufacturing side of the house and the geeking out on the gun building. So with that, you let me build a gun this week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so at the end of it, I asked Scott to give me a grade, and he gave me a B+.
Yep.
So we're just going to start out with my biggest dork up of the build, which was.
Well, but
I told him that I was going to make a butt of myself on this build, but
it happens to everybody. It happens to us occasionally. Things just don't go the way you expect them to. Yeah. But to be honest, I mean, when he got to the shop, I had all the parts pulled to assemble one gun. Yep. And the parts were in the raw as they would come off the CNC machine. None of them were deburred, none of them had been previously inspected. I just walked over to all the boxes and I started pulling parts for everything. I put them in his own build kit, and he showed up and I said, "Here you go."
I didn't just show up. I showed up at 0600. This was 2 days of 12-hour shifts working building guns. So he came and picked us up at the hotel. Yep. 0600, and then we went to town. We chatted a little bit along the way. Sure. But yeah, I had a great time. Learned a ton from this man. He is a wealth of knowledge, and to get on to being meticulous about these guns. Scott's guns and Dave, I want to give Dave credit too. Dave helped Scott build guns at the shop. Dave is an awesome guy too. Big shout out to Dave, love that dude.
Oh, if you want a polished gun, he's the guy you want to say, "Hey, I want him to polish my gun," because nobody can polish a gun like Dave can.
Yeah, he is phenomenal, guys. Like, you'll see it. I've got a bunch of shop footage, but how meticulous you have to be to we got the slide and the frame, and he was showing me some of the points where when it comes off the machine where you're going to find some burrs.
Yeah.
And so he was just picking a few spots on on some of the hot areas, and I went and got that. And so I gave him a vector check. I was like, "Hey sir, check my stuff," and he was like, "Hey Clay, you missed that." And it's just, guys, like, that's how meticulous you have to be on these guns to really go over these things with a fine-tooth comb, because
if you don't,
it will mess up your gun. That is what I learned. And it was right up inside of the magwell, and he was like, "Look right there," and I was like, "Oh man, I cannot believe," because I was trying to be as thorough as I could, and I still wasn't as thorough as I needed to be.
We did the same thing when we first started building guns. We would get something together and it wouldn't work. We're like, "Why won't this work?" You want to believe that as all these parts come off the CNC machine, that they're just good to go. Well, as good as Three Sigma is, and Sean and all the guys up there about making sure that how the machine, the tool path, and what marks it leaves and what burrs it, they are so good about getting all those out that we don't have to do a lot.
Right.
But every frame, every slide, every whatever part that comes off, you better inspect it.
Absolutely. That is, it was one of the things that it kind of humbled me. Yeah. He humbled, like I said, I was humbled these, Monday and Tuesday when we were building the guns out, because here I'm all like, I know how to fit some parts, I'm thinking I'm somebody. And one of the big kind of challenges that or not challenges, but one of the things I didn't know how to do was doing the slide to frame and the barrel fitment. And, Scott, you walked me through that entire process. What I was most kind of nervous about. I'd done a little bit of homework before I came out here, but that one actually pretty smoothly for the most part, as far as just deburring the gun. But boys, it is a ton of work to sand and just get, to get the tool marks off of the outside of the gun, to get it prepped for coating, and just, that is one of the things that one of my big takeaways is just how meticulous you have to be in doing these.
Well, and everything is, even though the machines are so good at what they do, they're only so good. And so as you go to assemble a slide onto a frame, the fact that we have to go down to 1200 grit compound to get those frames and slide to be as smooth as we do tells you that you better be paying attention.
Absolutely. And I still stand by this, boys. Like, you guys have seen my Vulcan review, and I got to handle a bunch more guns when I was at the shop. I'll put his the action on his guns. They're right up there with $7,000 guns. I own them. And like I said, that's how great these builds are, and that's why I'm so high on your company. And
thank you.
Yeah, it just the quality of work again that you and Dave are putting in there in the shop, and just the attention to detail day in and day out. Like, my shoulders were tired from sanding and getting the tool marks off, and then we went out to the. They were busting in on me because I was in the polishing room, and I only had probably 4 or 5 parts. I wasn't even doing the slide in the frame on the parts, and I think I had like the barrel and some of the other small parts that were going to DLC.
Barrel, grip safety.
Yeah, and I'm in there 45 minutes in the polishing room. They thought I had passed out and died, and I came back and I had junk all over my face, and it's hard work, man, and it's very labor intensive.
Yes.
And I think that's the part too that again I always try on the channel is to connect the dots with the cost. Why these guns cost so much money. It definitely is most certainly the expensive machinery that puts out the slides and frames. These, again, you'll see the 3 Sigma video, and Ken has a massive shop, and they're expensive. It's a lot of money, boys, but that's not the bad. The bad part is how much energy you put into just building the gun out. It took me, probably, I'd say, sort of 2 12-hour shifts. I probably had about a good 15, 16 hours in the gun. We were talking and, went to lunch a couple of the first day. But yeah, I probably had a good 15, 16 hours in the gun. Yeah. Just hammering away on it. And we barely just finished on Tuesday with it.
Well, and it got, you didn't port it. Yep. You didn't, the barrel,
the machine part,
that we had to refine some of that, even though the machines, when they come from 3 Sigma and come to our facility, we still have to do additional machining processes.
Absolutely.
So it's not like we just get a box of parts and start throwing them all together. It's challenging, but it's a lot of fun.
Yes, indeed. I had a absolute blast, but again, it was humbling. I give all credit and props to
believe me, we've made all the mistakes.
And the biggest mistake was when I fit the slide in the frame, and he was doing something else in the shop, and because he really kind of let me hands off and really build this gun, guys. And so he was out doing something else, and I was thinking, hey, I'd already fit the sliding frame and, didn't have any oil on it at the time. I was just lapping it in and had cleaned it all off. Well, I was waiting on him, and I was like, I'll just dry fit the gun back together. Big mistake. I didn't put any oil on it. I actually seized the slide on the frame. And so Scott was like, "Oh God, Clay,
takes about that long."
It literally. I just want, and that's the thing. I was very gentle. I didn't force anything that I built this week. I didn't force anything, and I really acted like I didn't know anything because I wanted to know how he built guns, not how I learned how to do, thumb safeties and small parts fitting. And I really wanted to learn anything he could teach me. And moral of the story, boys, is put oil on your guns, and they won't seize up after, because that's how tight these tolerances on these guns, boy. They're tight.
Well, you have 3 just in the slide alone. On one side of the slide, you have an area where there's a channel there where it goes onto the frame. And think about how tight the tolerances are, 4 to 5 10 thousandths of an inch. And if you change one of those those areas a little bit, man, all of a sudden you lose all your tolerances. And stainless steel on stainless steel has a tendency to gall. And it can do it very quickly. As you know.
Yes, I do. But it took me, and that was the thing too, it took me 3 hours, because I added it all up. That's the mistake that I made. It took me 3 hours to fix the mistake the following day. And so again, we were, I wasn't there next following morning, sanding everything out and polishing everything up and getting it all fixed. But yeah, it was just a very humbling experience. And Scott just looking at me, just shaking his head. I was like, oh God. So anyways, we got the gun done.
Got the gun done.
We're at coating with the gun or we're getting it out this week, I think, maybe.
No, it's on its way.
It's already on its way. So we're going to show that one off. At
it's
some
a new
point.
color, actually.
Yeah, it's a new color. I put it in slate,
alpha slate,
alpha slate, and then we did black polished DLC for the secondary dub safeties and small parts on it. I think it's going to look really sharp.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's going to look really cool, and he can take some cool photos of it on his Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll put it on the round table
and show it off to the peeps. But now, since we got the gun building process out of the way, what do we have next on the docket for what kind of future things are you working on for refinement? Because he's always refining his build sheet. He's always, again, this is what I love about this man. He listens to his customers. He wants to know what we like, what we dislike. He's always leveling up his game. So what are some things that you're working on that you got in the hopper that people can kind of expect going forward with KustomWorx?
Well, I think the biggest one right now is the porting.
Right.
Porting has become a very big deal. Probably, I would say 85 to 90% of the guns that leave the facility get ported.
Right.
Whether they're 9mm, 45, 38 Super, it doesn't matter. People just want them ported. And it does tame them down, so why wouldn't you want it?
Right. Unless you're a comp guy.
Right.
Yep.
So we're working on an inline porting, which, we're testing, continuing to do that, but we think it's going to be what everybody's going to do. Now, some guys still like the V10 porting, but
I'm an inline port side. That one of the reasons I've been pushing for him for the inlines, and just because I've got it on a few of my other guns, and I think it's more of a preference, right?
I think it's how do you want your gun to shoot?
Right. Yeah.
Do you want the gun to be sharp and crisp, or do you want a wave action coming?
Yeah. More of a soft shooting gun. Yeah. And so I'm more of an inline style porting, but I still appreciate the.
Well, you're a big guy. You got big hands, and you lock onto it. Your grip is probably better than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, you lock onto that gun, it doesn't move. So for you, the inline porting, I believe, and for a lot of other guys too, I think it's going to kind of be the next game changer for us. Yeah.
It cycles a lot. When we were doing a little bit of testing in the shop, and we were limited with what we could do and what we couldn't do just because of the facility. But I could feel just in the what we were doing. I could feel the difference in the felt recoil. But yeah, exciting times. And then the other one that you're working on is the trigger, correct?
We have a new titanium one piece titanium trigger.
Right.
And we're doing an over travel stop with that trigger,
giving us a little bit more adjustability.
It's really when we first started down this road, we were trying to build the gun because we thought we were building the gun for most of the general public, and it's really has not turned into that. Not everybody wants to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a gun. Right. I get that. So we had to go back and listen to what people were telling us and say, hey, I want to shoot this competitively, or I want this and I want that. Well, if people aren't going to buy your gun because you don't want to change, what's the point of building the gun?
Right. Yeah.
So the over travel stop was one of those for a lot of guys. They really wanted them because it just, if your finger doesn't have to move as far to get the gun to stop, because as the sear releases from the hammer hooks, you can still keep pulling it back. It'll still keep coming back.
Right.
But why would you want to do that?
Right.
So we finally said, yeah, we have to put one in.
Right. Get that more adjustability.
Yeah.
And then you can fine tune the trigger to your liking. And
yeah.
Yeah. And you've got another cool thing too that most maybe people don't know about is Scott's actually built a gun for Keith Sanderson.
Yep.
He is an Olympic level shooter. He's actually getting ready to shoot Camp Perry.
They just finished up Camp Perry.
They just finished up Camp Perry.
Yep.
Got to meet him at SHOT Show.
Yep.
Phenomenal, world-class shooter, boys. And Scott built him his gun. And that's why I was saying he's you just don't have an Olympian shooter that comes and just to some rando and go, hey man, can you build me a gun? That's why I keep on saying, boys, that KustomWorx, they have got some of the best 2011 builds that I've been able to get my hands on. And
I mean, we really enjoy what we do.
Mm-hmm.
For us, the fortunate part is we have Ken and Sean in the machine shop who have a passion for building good parts.
Correct.
They
yeah.
may not have a passion for building guns or shooting guns, but man, they have a passion for building parts. And that passion takes them to the next level.
Absolutely.
If I call up there and I say, hey Sean, I need blah, 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 I want this, da, 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 da. When I get it, there's rarely a revision that I want done to it, because it's just as close to stinking perfect as it can get without, the finish work to it.
Right.
So, we take it to the kind of the next level by doing the finish work and the polishing and make sure things are smooth. And I'm not a guy that goes around and looks closely at what other builders do. I try and listen to the customer base.
Right.
I know from being a shooter, like I want all the friction that I can take out of the ignition system from the trigger sliding through the frame, how it mates the face of the disconnector, how the disconnector has the reduced friction that it has going down the slide by narrowing the width of the disconnector on the top, putting a cut on the bottom of the slide so you can't feel the disconnector, to how does that hammer feel as it goes forward? Can you feel a vibration when you dry fire it? If you can, something probably not right. A pin's not through properly or polished properly. So there's a lot of things that go into it. We're just trying to refine them.
Absolutely. And again, you see my parts breakdown under the hood on these guns is absolutely gorgeous. Every part is polished to perfection. It's serialized. Like, again, the level of detail that Scott and Dave do on these guns, man, it's and at the price point too, that's what I drive to. It's like the base price on these guns are $3,400. It's an expensive gun.
Yes, it is.
It's not cheap, but boys, you get a high level, high quality product from these guys. I've got guns that are more expensive than my Vulcan, and they're not as good. That's why, again, I am so big on KustomWorx and just getting your name out there, because I feel like a lot of the 2011 collectors, or even somebody who just wants to get into their first limited optics gun or whatever, I always go, hey, and I'm big on MPA as well. Like I go, hey, check out KustomWorx or MPA if you're in that kind of that price range, because again, it's just quality, and I love my Vulcan, and
start out with good parts.
Yep, start out with good parts, and the rest will just kind of fall in place from there. But would you have anything else that you guys are working on outside of your triggers and your porting?
Well, there's a couple things coming down the line that I can't really sneak out
in the queue. I know one of them, but Sean told me what one of them is. But again, I'll keep that one under vest and be a little mystique whenever they're ready. Because again, you want to make sure you can test all this stuff properly before you release it.
The last thing we want to do is release something and have an incident, an accident, or some type of issue going on. Right. We're obviously not perfect. Things happen. Guns occasionally get out that we miss something. Man, if we do, you get it back to us, we're going to take care of it right away.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
And again, I haven't had any issues with my gun's actually been perfect. I've got over 5,000 rounds on my Vulcan, and it's my number one armadillo killer. As I've told Scott, I've got an armadillo infestation at the house, and it's my go-to gun. And I'm out there blasting them in the yard. But again, Scott, thank you so much for inviting me here for the week.
And we got to catch some fish.
And we got to catch some fish, guys. So I've got a ton of editing to do. I've got a shop tour with him that just to show off, where, his facility. But I also got a ton of cool places here in Troutdale, Oregon. This place is absolutely stunning. So if you ever get an opportunity to come on vacation in Oregon.
Yeah, we love it.
It is absolutely beautiful here, boys. But that is it for our interview, and we'll catch you again on the next one, guys.
Thanks.
Peace.